Bonjour classe, bienvenue dans la classe de français 1. Today we are looking at lesson 2B. We're going to review some things we learned last week and learn a few new words as well. On y va? Okay, here's our lesson for this week. Class, take a look at the dialogue. These two kids down here, I think they're talking about me. Tu connais la dame? Oui, elle s'appelle Madame Moore. That's me. Elle est américaine. C'est vrai. Class, what are these kids saying about me? Tu connais la dame? Oui, elle s'appelle Madame Moore. Elle est américaine. Some of these phrases you should probably already know, but these are all the things we're going to learn this week. We will learn what is tu connais. You already know la dame. We already know oui. How about elle s'appelle? Can you guess what that means just based on what he's saying? Elle est américaine. I think we learned that before as well. So, not too shabby. Let's take a look at another dialogue. Tu connais le garçon? Oui, il s'appelle Nelson. Il est canadien. Do you see some other words that you already recognize? For example, le garçon, we know that one. Il est canadien, we know that one as well. These are new. Tu connais, just like in the previous dialogue. And il s'appelle, that's also new. But can you guess what it means? Class, we are getting to the point in our learning where you can kind of use your instincts for language to look at the context of a dialogue or the context of something you read and see and figure out what it means. Keep doing that because that's going to serve you well as we continue. So let's take a look at some of these new words that we're talking about, especially these phrases, tu connais and il s'appelle, or as from the previous dialogue, tu connais, same, elle s'appelle. What's the difference? Here are some basic words. Some of them we already know. For example, do you guys remember what je means? We actually use je to talk about ourselves. Je suis américaine. Je suis de Saginaw. Je m'appelle Madame Moore. Je means I. Tu, I'm pointing at you. Tu means you. And now we're adding to the list il and elle. And based on what you just saw on the previous page, do you remember what il and elle mean? Il is he, and elle is she. He and she, il and elle. Classe, écoutez et répétez après moi. Je, tu, il, elle. Et voilà, c'est très facile. We can start putting these together in sentences now. Tu connais, tu connais. Here's the word tu, which means you. And when you put it in a question form with the word connais, it means do you know? Tu connais? Il est. Now we've started with this word il, which we just learned means he. The word est is how you say he is. Il est. Elle est, she is. Comment s'appelle? First of all, I think we have seen this s'appelle, or at least appelle, before, because we learned the phrase at the beginning of the year, je m'appelle. Remember that one? Je m'appelle Madame Moore. Comment t'appelles-tu? Appeler is the verb, literally means to call, but we use it in the context of talking about someone's name. What's your name? What do you call yourself? So this question, comment s'appelle, means what's that person's name, or what's the name of that thing. Comment by itself actually means how. So it's how does he or she call themselves? Nobody really talks like that. So we just say, what's the name? To answer the question, comment s'appelle, what's the name? You say, il s'appelle, his name, or he calls himself. Il s'appelle. Or you say, elle s'appelle. Her name is. She calls herself. Elle s'appelle. Now, last week, we really talked a lot about un versus une, right? Un and une both mean a. We learned the word un garçon, a boy, un ami, a friend, un copain, another word for friend. And then we learned the feminine versions of those. Une fille, a girl, une amie, a friend, une copine, also a friend who happens to be a girl. Un versus une is the same thing as a. Well, now we're adding a couple more to that. We have le and la. Le and la mean the. So we can use the same ideas from last time if we say un ami or un garçon, for example. We can also say le garçon, the boy. Oui? We say une fille, a girl. Well, over here, after I move myself out of the way, over here with la, we can say la fille or la dame, the girl, the woman. So when you're talking about someone specific and you point to them, hey, do you know that boy, le garçon, the boy over there? Or do you know the girl standing right there, la fille? That's a good use for le and la. Très bien, we're starting to put it all together now. Oh, here are some numbers. But before we talk about numbers, let's take everything we've learned now. So we learned le and la are kind of the same idea as un and une. There's a masculine and a feminine, but they mean the boy, the girl, instead of just a boy or a friend or a girl. It's the specific boy, the specific person. Le and la. We can put that together with comment s'appelle, elle s'appelle, il s'appelle, il est, elle est. Yes. Tu connais. Do you see our dialogue coming together? Here it is. Now you should understand everything that they're saying. Tu connais le garçon? Oui, il s'appelle Nelson. Il est canadien. Try saying that dialogue. Répétez après moi. Tu connais le garçon? Oui, il s'appelle Nelson. Il est canadien. And let's do the first one again. Écoutez et répétez après moi. Tu connais la dame? Oui, elle s'appelle Madame Moore. Elle est américaine. Très bien, class. You know all these words now. You can put together sentences, change the names of the people, change if they're a boy or a girl, a man or a woman, a teacher maybe, a friend. And you can say a lot of different things with these phrases. Super bien. All right, now I'm going to skip ahead and go to those numbers. Here we go. Class, last week we ended with 79, 79. And now we get some brand new numbers. This is the number 80, but guess what? Just like before, we have to do a little bit of math because 80 doesn't just have its own word. Like we would think weedy or something. Weed means 8, so why don't they do that? Je ne sais pas. I do not know, but here's what they do instead. The word for 80 in French is, let's see if my pen works here, 80. 80, again, we're doing a little bit of math. This time you have to think multiplication tables. It's 4 times 20. 4 times 20 equals, oh yeah, 80. There it is. So if this is 80, what's this one going to be? 81, 82, 83. Count with me, will you? 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89. Okay, now we get to 90. 90 doesn't get its own number either. 90 is again a combination of previous numbers, and you have to do some math. But we already know how to do this because we did it with 60 and 70, 60 and 70. Well, now we're doing the same thing again. 80, 90. That is the word for 90. 80, remember that's 4 times 20, 10 plus 10. Well, I think you know what that means because last week we said 70 is 70 and 71 is then 71, 72, 73, right? Do the same thing here. 90 is 90, so 91 is going to be 91, 92. Keep counting with me. 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. The number for 100 is one of the shortest numbers. After all this, 99, we end with 100. Now look at that number. When you look at it, you want to say cent because that's what it looks like in English. But class, it's pronounced cent. Channel your inner French hon hon hon. Notice that we have words that use this as a base, use this as a root word. For example, a century is 100 years, right? A cent is 1/100th of a dollar. So all in all, that the fact that cent is the word for 100 just makes sense. That was a good one. That was pretty good. All right, I'm going to move on. So to continue counting with 100, guess what 101 is? 101, 102, 103. And now you can count basically to infinity because you have all the numbers you need. Just keep adding them up. Just keep combining them. When you get to 200, guess what it is? 200. 300, 300. 400, 400, etc., etc. You know what to do. The only stopping point along the way might be this number right here. The number 1000 in French is 1000. 1000. Not to be confused with million, a million, just 1000, that's 1000. Class, you know all the numbers. How excited are you? Go back, rewatch this video, work on some of your classwork, work on your workbook, and I'll see you later. À bientôt! Au revoir!